From Forbes, cockpit voice recorder on Alaska Airlines Flight 1282 was erased. All right, so a few days ago, there was an Alaskan Airlines flight from Portland to Ontario, Canada. It was, it was Ontario, California, I think it was. Yeah. I don't know, whatever. A section of the plane exploded and was ripped off the plane. I'm being a little hyperbolic. The pressure caused it to blow off the side of the plane. A couple cell phones flew out. A bunch of people's stuff, I guess, flew out. The depressurized cabin, the oxygen masks come down. The initial report was that a window blew out. Then you look at the video. I don't know if they have the video on the Forbes website, but you look at the video. It was actually, apparently these 737 MAX 9s have an optional door. Alaska Airlines says, we don't want a door there, so just cover it up. And the pressure caused it to get ripped off the plane and then go flying and landed in someone's backyard. The cockpit voice recorder on that flight was erased. The question is why? Now they'll come on and say, oh, it's just an accident. It's an accident. But I wonder if there's actually some malfeasance in that right now it's an argument that the planes are no good. Following this report, we've got new information that loose bolts are found on door plugs on grounded United Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 9 jets. These door plugs are areas of the plane. They're not emergency exits. They're optional. Some they do use, some they don't. I'm wondering how much of this is actually the planes are bad, or are we looking at a diversity hire problem where we have these pilots who are incapable of doing their jobs, and so you're getting pilot error. Maybe the cabin was pressurized incorrectly, causing the door to blow out. They're then yelling in the cockpit, what did you do? What did you press? Oh no, I pressed the wrong button. And then they realize we will get in trouble and be sued if people find out what we admitted to here. So they erase the black box voice recorder. So then it's oops, we have no idea. It must just be the planes are no good. Ashley St. Clair was tweeting about a flight that landed from Newark, New Jersey, and it bounced on the runway, hard landing, nearly totaling the plane. I think the plane is disabled. It, like the fuselage looks like it was bent and cracked up. And according to Ashley St. Clair, or I should say, she asked whether or not this was a diversity hire who was fired and then rehired, even though they shouldn't have been. We got a pilot shortage. Flight cancellations like crazy. Are these airlines hiring in large numbers, and are they hiring for diversity? Because we know Boeing's all about it. Take a look at this. Global Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Report. I'm wondering if what's really happening is the infrastructure failures we're seeing are due to the fact that all of these companies for the past decade plus have been prioritizing hiring based on ideology instead of meritocracy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have that terrible transportation secretary, right? Pete Buttigieg, who has no reason to have his job. I mean, this system is failing both privately and in terms of the government.
It's also interesting, just as, you know, a consumer, how much worse airline travel has gotten since 2020. It's terrible. It's terrible. Flights get canceled all the time. I literally, just this past weekend, I had a flight somewhere and the airline canceled my flight morning of and rerouted it to a different city. They're like, hey, like a city that was like an hour away. I was like,
they're like, close enough. Have a good time.
You can't just like send me somewhere else. That's not where I was trying to fly. It was
switch. So I had a flight from Vegas to, I think it was Dallas to DC. Without telling me or asking me, they switched my ticket from a first class to a coach, last minute booking to Colorado to DC without telling me. So we show up to the airport, tickets don't work. I'm confused. I'm like trying to scan the ticket to go through security. And then I look at my email and it's like, your flight has been changed. And I was like, wait, what? So they put me, I pay for this ticket. It's expensive. And I end up sitting in the way back in a chair that like can barely recline.
Wow.
It's a 777.
So next to the toilet.
Did they reimburse you?
Not kidding. Yeah. No.
They didn't reimburse you. You paid for first class and you had to sit
You
there.
have to like call the airline to get the reimbursement. It's a pain.
But the issue was,
wow,
none of my flights were canceled. There was a weather alert in Dallas and it was delayed, but that didn't mean anything. Yeah. My flight would have landed there just fine. And then I could have waited for the delay. And they said, it's better if we just put you on this flight now so you can catch the Denver to DC. And I'm like, I'll just take the delay. Yeah. It's insane. And there's no human beings. No. When we showed up to the airport, because we have an early morning flight from DC to come back home, from Vegas to DC, there were no human beings anywhere. When I walked up to a counter, I see a United worker. I said, I have a question. I know it's the wrong gate. And she goes, I'm not on yet. And I was like, I'm sorry to bug you. Maybe you could point me in the right direction. And then she's like, nope. I was like, okay.
Dude, it's great. I think a few months ago, I had a flight that was delayed for a solid 8 hours. I was like, you could have just and it was they did that annoying thing where they delay it 1 hour at a time so you won't leave.
Right.
I was like, just tell me how long it's delayed for. Yeah.
They
And
string
then
you
I
along.
literally I sat there for an entire day. I was like, I could have got a different flight, or I could have left, or
they
done
don't want-
something.
th-
It's exactly, they
it's
don't
the
want
point.
you to. That's why they lied to you.
When a flight is canceled, they've got 100 to 300 people now rushing to the ticket counter to try and get new flights. They'd rather you just sit there and let their, they don't want you causing trouble.
Yeah, and I don't want to come across as xenophobic, but if I walked in and I saw 2 women in the cockpit, I would get off that plane. I mean, seriously, I mean...
My bigger issue in all seriousness is, what if you get on a plane and you see that 80% are migrants carrying envelopes, and we've got reports, Ashley St. Clair reported she's in possession of a ticket that says no name given.
No, I saw the tweet.
I'm not going to sit on a plane knowing that there's a person who's not been vetted from security.
This is what's hilarious, right? The left pushes for so much documentation everywhere all the time, down to like a COVID vaccine
Not
they
to
wanted people
vote.
to have on their smartphones. Yeah, except for when it comes to voting, except for when it comes to migration.
Well,
There's
people
literally
who crossed
everything
the
else.
border illegally during that time were not asked to get vaccinated.
That's exactly right.
But it
it's
was
just
a requirement for legal immigration.
Exactly. So for you as an individual, you are documented. Every moment, every inch of your life is totally documented. It's just, there's so much paperwork and red tape associated with everything you do. And then when it comes to illegal immigrants, they go, well, let's not call them illegal. They're just undocumented. It's like, wait, don't you guys hate things being undocumented? Why are you okay with this being
Nikki
undocumented?
Haley said they're
Having a
not
rough
criminals.
day.
Not criminals, yeah, and that's
And then,
rude
and
to do
then
that.
Twitter did a
They
community
literally
notes.
are.
Twitter community note said it's quite literally a crime to enter the country illegally. They're criminals under this section.
Yeah.
Nikki Haley is, man, she's evil.
She is. She's really evil, right? Because she is. She's so callous about the interests of the American people. She's okay with waging war. She literally wanted boots on the ground in Ukraine. So she's supposedly just this totally hawkish person with respect to foreign policy, and yet she all of a sudden just has a bleeding heart when it comes to migration.
I
Are
know.
you kidding me?
Well, you know what that reminds me of? Like, have you seen where there's celebrities now are writing their names on the bombs that are being used in Gaza?
No.
Yeah, and like,
What?
yeah, supposedly
Is that real?
Yeah, some Israeli porn stars or whatever got in trouble because they let a porn star, write on one of the bombs supposedly. But I always think that's very, morbid, very macabre to write your name on a bomb when you know this is. And I don't care what side you're on, but that's kind of like where we're at of the weirdness of this whole. I think.
That's so
No, I think
messed up.
I look at everything we're seeing with just the extreme political actions that are happening. I mean, the border is gone. Mexico wanting to
Well, the border's gone for them because Tim, you and I need a passport to leave. I can't leave the country without a passport, so the border's closed for you and I.
but they're bringing people in, and I just look at all this, and how do we get through this election cycle? I don't know how come November 2024, November 6th, it's going to be November 5th, we get election day. Does anyone really believe that on November 6th, they're going to be like, and that's it, the winner of the election is, and have a name?
No, of course they won't be like that. I mean, the thing is, this is going to be hard fought all the way, and we have known this for a long time. When Trump was elected in 2016, do you remember all the pictures from flights of like women in their pink hats going to the rally? Like, there has been this test of like, if you're the right side, you're allowed to protest, but if you're the wrong side, you're not allowed to do anything. That's been there for a long time, but our tension and our anger and the distrust of the other side is more heightened than ever. So I think November 6th will be a really chaotic day, and it will lead to a very chaotic 2025.
That's understatement of the year. I think 2025 is going to be crazy. This next election cycle is
I
going to
think
be crazy.
24 is going to be like one of the
No,
most insane
2025 might be super chill.
Do you think after it's all done, after everything's burnt down?
Yeah, we're sitting
and-
there with like,
Well, what about-
we'll be
okay,
wearing
but-
potato sacks, sitting outside playing with chickens.
Okay, what's the new Obama movie on Netflix? Talking about how there's going to be a cyber attack.
Yep.
I think there is going to be a cyber
I agree.
attack this year. And you know what's going to be the scary part? We keep on saying all this stuff about airplanes. That's what really gets messed up if the internet goes down. All of a sudden planes are going to start crashing, and then you're really going to be like, I think it's possible. I think it's possible.
It's not that planes aren't going to crash; they're not going to fly. When the
Well,
system,
what's a surge where you can turn off computers? I can't think of
EMP.
the term. Yes. What if they
EMP,
use that and all of a sudden the airplanes in the air?
it would be you're not going to EMP the whole planet.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about a small part of it. I mean, forget the whole
If
planet.
the internet goes out, planes will emergency land and then be unable to take off. They're going to say, we can't air traffic control properly. Our data streams are shut down. It's an emergency. And it's a very effective way to temporarily control flow of communication. Imagine what would happen. For everybody, we got 45,000 people. They're watching right now. What if the internet went down? What would you watch? Are you really going to turn on CNN, MSNBC? There's no internet, but TV still works. And they say, turn on the radio, turn on the TV, and now you're getting the approved government narrative.
Yep. Well, I think in this day and age, the TV and that stuff would go off with the internet too. You think they would still be able to broadcast?
Absolutely. Yep.
They would just be using
analog TV.
Analog, whatever that.
Yeah. They do.
Yeah, I guess you are right.
It's still digital. It's digital now, so you get multiple data streams over the airwaves, but they can still send through. Just you can buy TV, turn it on, and you can get the standard digital channels.
And what Hannah said earlier, I think that's the reason why so many boomers have Hannah Claire? What did I say? Yeah. No, I'm just saying the reason why these...
Forgot half my name, but...
Well, sorry, I was just saying Hannah, HC, Hannah Claire. What I'm saying is these boomers, they have such bad cognitive dissonance because they didn't have as many outlets like we had. They didn't have the internet to tell them the truth about the government, that these people know the government lies to them, but they still trust the government for some reason. We have lost all government trust because we have the internet. We know what the hell is going on.
And they got to take that away.
Yeah, and we can look up the Tuskegee syphilis. We can look up all this crazy stuff that, is really not...
The moon landing, right?
Hey, that's what I learned about. I'm just saying, because of the internet, that's what's probably the biggest thorn in the government side.
Did you see the report? I don't know enough about it, but I passively saw it, so someone can correct me if I'm wrong.
From China that said the moon landing's fake?
No, they said that our current nuclear technicians don't know how to operate them fully, because the people who actually ran and maintained them have long since retired, and the people who've inherited these jobs never had actual reason to.
So it's like Homer Simpson.
Dude, that's like
literally like Homer Simpson.
That's like 30% of our infrastructure.
And so when you say, how did we lose technology for the moon landing? The exact same reason why they're saying our current technicians don't know how to operate our nuclear weapons.
Well, don't even get me started. That's apples and oranges. I do agree with that. But yeah, I mean, I don't even want to get started on the moon landing. But yeah, I'm not surprised that these idiots can't figure out how. Like, look at our buildings. Look at all the postmodernism, all of our architecture.
Remember
Everything
that bridge,
sucks.
the bridge that collapsed in Florida?
Was that recently? I didn't.
No, this was like.
In Miami, you're talking about the pedestrian bridge?
The pedestrian bridge.
Yeah, and it killed like 2 students.
6 people.
Yeah.
It could be updated since then. I don't know. But there were memes going around saying a female-led construction company had built it. And then the fact checkers came out and said, did an all-female construction company build it? See, what happens is people pointed out that this company was promoting diversity. They were promoting female construction workers. They're doing ads saying women are strong. They did all this. But only a small portion of the women and people in management were women. And so it was run and owned by a bunch of guys, but they kept bragging about the women who were in charge. So when people came out and said that it was a female-led company, in order to try and quote unquote debunk it, or I guess you'd call it a faux bunk, it's not a real debunking, the media changed female-led to all-female. Well, of course the company wasn't all-female, and they said, it's owned by a man, therefore they're lying. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.